The Astros bats continue to click against the A's, coming off of a successful, dominant series against the Seattle Mariners, which they won 3 out of 4. They continued their winning ways, taking both games in a brief 2-game series against them. So we're going to talk all about it, plus an unfortunate and devastating update on Ronel Blanco. So it's all coming up next. Stay tuned. Sweep it is. Man, has it been a while since I've been able to say that. And for the first time, I'm trying something a little bit new in this. Each time we get a series sweep, cue the horn. How about that? Anyway, so the Astros completed a 2-game sweep over the A's, scoring 16 runs across the 2 games. I mean, why this was a 2-game series? My theory was that the Astros were just coming off of a stretch where they were playing 17 games over 17 straight days without a day off. And if this were a 3-game set, then we would have only had 2 off days the entire month, and they probably would have had to give that off day to us on Thursday and have us play three games against Tampa coming up next here instead of 4 or whatever. I mean, I guess they probably could have done that instead of just giving us the Monday day off. But I mean, I guess ultimately it probably came down to a scheduling issue, considering, like I said, we were playing 17 games in 17 days, and that was our longest stretch of games over the course of the season. So, and I mean, we went 10-7 during that 17-game stretch. So overall, I think that's a record that I would be certainly happy with all day. Yeah, the Astros are now 5 games above 500, which is a season high for them. And they are now, as we currently speak, 1 game behind the Mariners for first place in the American League West. Though as of when I'm recording this video, the Washington Nationals are having their way with the Mariners, so we could very well go into Thursday's action only just a half game behind them. So we'll ultimately see how the rest of the day unfolds, but let's break down the series. First things first, let's dive right into a couple of injury updates. We'll start with Yordan. As of this past Monday, Espada and Dana Brown have been saying that the ball is in his court. So ultimately, it's going to be his decision as to when he's going to come back. But I mean, it's crazy to think that the Astros have been winning have won 5 of their last 6 games, all without Yordan Alvarez. They have set a franchise record for highest batting average this month and currently lead the major leagues in team batting average this month. Again, I'm hoping that we can see him at some point this weekend series against Tampa, which starts tonight, as of when you guys are probably seeing this. But, I'm keeping my fingers crossed we see him for that. But next up, I'm saving the worst ones of these for last. Ronel Blanco. It was announced today on Wednesday that Ronel Blanco would undergo season-ending surgery. I mean, the article I had read about it had said it was going to be elbow surgery, but I mean, it didn't really say whether it was going to be Tommy John surgery. And then, of course, when you further read in this article, it says it's going to be Tommy John surgery. But I mean, in any case, he's going to be out for the rest of the season. And I mean, although he expects to return in 2026, I'm not going to be counting on that because, like I said, Luis Garcia has got Tommy John surgery back in 2023, and he has yet to pitch this season. He spent all of last season rehabbing. He was supposed to have returned last year by now, and he is still not here. What is going on? Look at some other guys around the league. They could probably just be out for the minimum amount of time that it takes them to just be out for the season when they get an injury like this. But that's not the case for our guys. This is the second straight year in a row where the Astros have had 2 pitchers go down to Tommy John surgery. Is this an issue with the pitch clock? Does the Players Association really need to be coordinating with MLB on making it longer? Because ever since the pitch clock was instituted, I don't care how long ago these pitchers have been doing this motion, like of them constantly throwing baseballs and all that, but ever since the pitch clock was instituted, we have had countless pitchers go down to season-ending elbow surgeries. And it feels like the Astros have led the league in that category. Because like I had said, ever since the clock was implemented, we've had Luis Garcia go down. We've had Christian Javier go down to surgery. We've had Jose Urquidy go down. We've had Hayden Wesneski, and now Ronel Blanco. That's 5 starting pitchers that we have had that have gone down to Tommy John surgery over the past several years. It's terrible, and at the same time, I feel like this is just enough evidence for us to say that something needs to be done. Because like I said, the fact that we're continuing to see all these pitchers go down to Tommy John surgery, and even then, these 2 Astros pitchers are not the only pitchers across the league to have gotten Tommy John surgery. Garrett Cole got it before the season even started. And I mean, lo and behold, I would bet he's going to be back in action around this time next year. Can't say the same for Blanco. But anyway, enough of that rant. Let's dive straight into it. A straight up beatdown of the A's in this first game. Hunter Brown was flirting with a no-hitter. He ended up giving up 6 hits for the game over 6 innings of work. He probably would have gone 7 innings if it weren't for him loading the bases in the top of the 6th inning. He did get out of that mess by getting Brent Rooker to ground into a double play to eventually get out of that mess, but by then he was already close to 100 pitches, so his night was done after that. Overall, it was a very good night for the Astros. Altuve hit 2 home runs in this game, part of a 4-hit night for him. Those 2 home runs that we hit gives him 4 home runs this homestand. Pena and Christian Walker also joined in on the home run party. Every Astros starter except for Isaac Paredes was able to get a hit. Altuve, like I had said, had a 4-hit night, including those 2 home runs. Despite him getting a chance to bat in the bottom of the 8th, Joe Espada immediately called him back. I don't know if Espada called him back or if Altuve made that decision for himself. But despite Altuve having many 4-hit games in his career, he is yet to have a 5-hit game in his 10-plus year Major League career, which I think is quite astonishing. George Springer, of all people, got a 5-hit game. Even Jeremy Pena last year, if I remember correctly, he also had a 6-hit game. Or I don't know if that was 6 hits or 5 hits. But regardless, Altuve has yet to even have a 5-hit game yet. He's had 2 other cornerstone infielders, or 2 cornerstone players that have been a part of this franchise for years that have had 5+ hit games for him. George Springer, of course, had a 6-hit game against this same Athletics team. And, I mean, although, again, this A's team is different than it was back then. But, I mean, case in point, he's still got 6 hits against the A's back in the day. And, again, I don't know if Altuve made the decision for himself to not give himself that chance, or if Espada wanted to just pull him early with 2 outs in the 8th inning. But, I guess we'll never know. Now, going into Game 2, I had said before in previous videos that whenever the Astros pound out 10 or more runs offensively, that their offense falls silent for most of the next game. And, I mean, I thought that after 3 innings, that seemed like it was going to be likely. They didn't even get a hit until the bottom of the 3rd inning when Zach DeZenzo was able to get on base, getting on with a base hit. And then Brendan Rodgers, who was playing at second base today, was able to also reach on a fielding error that probably should have been a double play. Thankfully, the Astros were able to take advantage of that opportunity with after Jeremy Pena drawing a walk. Isaac was able to bat home Zach DeZenzo home with the sac fly. Cam Smith also had a great series. He had 2 hits across the 2 games, both resulting in ribbies. And then the ribby he had in the bottom of the 4th inning would knot the score up at 2 after Christian Walker was able to reach after being hit by a pitch. Sadly, he would end up having to come out to the game after realizing that he was having to likely deal with inflammation. I don't know if it was precautionary or if the fact that, it was just hurt to the point where he had to come out. X-rays on Walker's hand have come back negative, so we're going to hope that he's able to come back soon. My guess is that we'll see him hopefully this weekend. I would not be surprised if we don't see him in tomorrow night's game, or I guess in Thursday's game. I guess, again, depending on when you guys are seeing this. But we will see. But overall, I'm not too worried about Christian Walker, and I think that should heal over time within a couple of days. This game overall, there was demonstrated a lot of our heroic character once again, having to rally from multiple deficits twice. There could honestly be a couple of good phrases that you could give out to some people. Zach DeZenzo hitting a 400-plus foot blast by the home run pump that would tie the score at 3. And then also Cam Smith, who had a clutch RBI double that would knot the score at 2, scoring Christian Walker from second base on a close play at the plate. But the story of the day in this game was Lance McCullers Jr. Man, dude, what an outing for Lance. He notches 12 Ks, which ties a career high, and goes 6 innings for the first time since 2022, and also his longest since the 2021 division series. But going into the top of the 5th inning, the score was tied 2-2 before Lance McCullers after he had gotten the first 2 guys out rather easily. He ended up giving up a solo home run to Jacob Wilson for the A's that would give them a 3-2 lead going into the bottom of the 7th inning. The Astros did, of course, have a decent opportunity to try and score the tying run in the 6th inning, but just could not capitalize. But they could capitalize in the bottom of the 7th as Zach DeZenzo would lead off the inning with that 400-plus foot home run that I had mentioned earlier. And then after Jeremy Pena and Isaac were able to both reach base, having runners on third with 2 outs. Mauricio Dubon was able to get an infield hit over to Jacob Wilson, but he was moving so far to his right to get it that he ended up not making a play on the ball. So the Astros would have the go-ahead run 90 feet away and a potential big insurance run also at second. Victor Caratini would would bat home both of those runs with a 2-run single, a lead that we would not relinquish, as Josh Hader would get his 15th save of the season, which his 15 saves that he has is good for 4th best overall, or ties him for 4th best overall, and ties him for 2nd best in the AL in total saves on the season, which means that's good for him, especially if you consider how bad he was last year. So I'm glad to see that he is performing the way that we expect him to. And again, I hope that he keeps this up throughout the season. Overall, easy 2-game sweep over the A's. I mean, hopefully we can wrap this homestand up on a high note. We've got Tampa coming to town for 4 games. So, I mean, so far the Astros have just lost 1 game on this homestand. Obviously, obviously a series split would ensure us a winning homestand, but I would like us to take 3 out of 4 in this series at the very best. But a series split, of course, is probably what I'm going to be asking for, preferably 3 out of 4, like I said, but hopefully we can take at least 2 games. I mean, we've got Framber Valdez lined up to start Friday's game and Hunter to start Sunday. And then we also have Colton Gordon and I think also Ryan Gusto lined up to start this series as well. It should hopefully be a good weekend series. We'll see how this goes for them. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to watch any of my other videos, click these cards here above my shoulders. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next one.